But like I said earlier, we're going to pick out some games to possibly do a trade-in. Games that, from what I've been seeing, a lot of GameCube games have been getting traded in. There was one game down here in the front case that I absolutely had to grab, and it's the Super Mario Strikers. What is up, everyone? It's Austin, and we are on our final episode of my $10 Nintendo collection series. We started off with a $10 bill. We went to thrift stores, pawn shops, game stores in search of items that we could possibly flip, and then we used that flipped profit to purchase Nintendo games and built a huge collection. It's crazy to say that we have reached 50 weeks of video game hunting. I created this list of 10 games to look for to end off this series, and we're still missing one game. I'm looking for this Kirby game on the Nintendo 64. It's not a rare game to find, but I think it's just very popular and people are always buying it the minute they see it at game stores. So I'm kind of running out of options, but I got one more place to check out that I have a feeling they might have this game. I also want to do one more big video game trade-in to end off this series, so we'll probably go through our collection and look for some items to possibly trade. I found a good amount of stuff last week episode, and I don't think it'll be worth putting up on eBay because we don't have a lot of time left. Also, at the time of this recording, the Nintendo Switch 2 is releasing, so I'm really excited to go and pick that up. That's all I got to start off this video though. Let's just jump into our collection and check out our sales. Here at our game showcase, and this is how it's currently looking. Still got to put away a lot of the stuff that we picked up from last week's episode. We got a huge batch of video games. But like I said earlier, we're going to pick out some games to possibly do a trade-in. Games that are not Nintendo related and I don't really mind getting rid of. So starting off with what we got up here, a lot of these games that I picked up at the Goodwill bins are games that I picked up purposely to do a trade-in for, and we got all of them for like $1, so we'll see how much we can get back. Starting off with Need for Speed Underground, we'll be trading that one in. Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, I don't know how much this one holds in value, but could be one as well. And I won't be putting a lot of these on eBay simply because we're at the finale now and won't have time to get these sold on there. So I think a trade-in will be perfect for this Pirates game. Probably not worth anything, but we'll see. This Freestyle EA big game, missing a manual. Hopefully the game store does take it. This NASCAR Thunder game, some of these games sell a lot better on eBay too, but we'll see how much they can give back from the game store. So I'll be taking them to a Mega Media Xchange, and they do take Blu-rays as well, so we'll definitely be taking some of these. Next, we got some $1 games that I picked up at a game store. There's Tom Clancy's End War, some Xbox One games like these, probably this as well. Fallout 4 for $1. We'll be keeping this one for sure. And then these two Game of the Year editions, I think they'll do better on eBay, but we're still going to take them to the game store and see how much we can get. Moving down here into this bin. This bin contains a lot of the stuff that I have currently on eBay, and since it is the finale, I don't mind taking these to the game store to do a trade-in. Guitar Hero Legends of Rock. A little bit of a spoiler, but this one did sell, so we'll be hanging on to that. Even this steel booklet. A couple of PS2 games. This Star Wars Battlefront. I think I'm going to keep this Need for Speed Carbon. Was a favorite of mine, and I don't have it in my personal collection, so we'll hang on to it for now. This Naruto game we've had for a while. Same with Star Wars, original Black Ops. We got a couple of Xbox original games. I think I'm going to keep this multiplayer map pack because I do not have this in my personal collection. I believe I have this Lord of the Ring game already. Got a copy of Fallout 4, Guitar Hero Live. I've got a couple watchers on this, so I may hang on to that. And then same with the Sphere 3. I was able to fill out all of these bins. I ran out of room and couldn't even put a lot of games in these bins. Over here though, we got some more PlayStation 3 games. Killzone 2, Resident Evil 5. And then I think I'm just going to go with these 3 PlayStation 3 games as well. We'll see if the game store even takes these. And then a couple more games just sitting right here. WWE 2K16. A couple of Xbox 360 games here. Okay, after going through everything, this is the stack that I have so far. I'll probably be adding more to it or taking some away if needed. But we'll be taking this to the game store and hopefully picking up some greater Nintendo items to add to our collection. Moving on with the sales for this week's episode, I'm just going to start off with this Gotham Knights game. Sold this one for $18.50. Debated on keeping this, but I don't really need a sealed copy in my collection. We got 2 more sales. First item is going to be this Guitar Hero Live on the PS4, and this one sold for around 15 bucks. And then the next item we sold is a loose game. It's going to be this Godfather Part 2 on the Xbox 360, and we sold this one for $15.50. Let's go ahead and get these games packaged and shipped. After eBay fees and shipping, this is how much we'll get to add back to the game fund. Holy smokes, guys, we made a visit to this PayMore store, and I usually don't record much in there. I don't think they really allow it, but there's been a lot of management changes, and they're actually doing a 6 for $20 deal. So 6 games, we'll be getting them for around like $3 a piece. And I ended up grabbing 12 games, paid about $40 for them all. Here are some notable ones from the pile that I got. I'll be going over all of it with you at the end of the video, but we got some Super Nintendo games, this Mickey Mouse game. I've never seen it before. And then also this Bust Loose game. I'm not sure if I have this in the collection already, but we'll go home and see. We picked up a ton of PS4 games, some great ones for us to either trade in a GameStop or flip. And then also a PS5 game, this Miles Morales Spider-Man. Big score with this one. And then a couple Xbox 360 and PlayStation 2 games. Got this nice Steelbook Final Fantasy game. But again, this was like the biggest deal I've seen at these PayMore stores. 6 for $20 is insane. We have now made our way to Mega Media Exchange, and I think I'm ready to do this huge trade. I added a couple of games that we picked up at the PayMore store. I'm going to quickly show you guys everything that I have in my bag. I know they're probably not going to take everything that I brought, but we'll see how much we can get for it. This is a pretty big stack of games and some solid games in here as well. And then we're also going to look for some Nintendo games to lastly add to our collection. Hopefully we can find some really good ones, some higher end ones, but yeah, it'll just depend on what we find here. Hello. I brought some a bag of games to trade. Let's go ahead and look over some video games while we wait for our games to be sorted out. Starting off in the Nintendo cartridge section, and we're looking at these NES games. Anything that could pique my interest and be worth a pickup. You got this Castlevania along with Final Fantasy 1 for $30. Definitely considered that one. And then we got some Super Nintendo games over here. There really wasn't anything too special though. Moving on to this glass case, which contains some higher end games. The Wii U section wasn't really that big, but they had a Wii Party for $60. And then came the GameCube section. So many grails right here. From what I've been seeing, a lot of GameCube games have been getting traded in, I believe because of the Nintendo Switch Online and them adding the GameCube emulator. I saw a Fire Emblem Path of Radiance here for $180, which is a crazy good price. That game usually sells for around $200. Here we got some Wii games as well, just the typical ones. And then you got some Xbox 360 games down here. I'm checking out these collector editions, and then I saw this Little Dragons Cafe, and they had this one marked at around $14. This is a crazy good price for a collector item. I don't really know how well the game plays. And then in this case, they had some Switch and PlayStation handheld games. Got this Rune Factory 3 Special Edition for $40, missing a couple items from it though. And then gonna take some time to go over the Switch section with you guys. Definitely gonna consider picking up a Switch game if I find anything. Got this Castlevania Collection limited run game to the left. Debated on that one for $50. And then also this Darkest Dungeon for $20. This would be a great one to pick up for the Switch. Moving on to this row, and Got some pretty obscure games down here, but nothing too crazy. Moving on to the last row, and there was one game that I was very interested in picking up and adding to my collection, and it's going to be this Xenoblade Chronicles 2 game. They had it here for $50. A little high, but still considered it. Thought how much?
Store credit would be 81, and then cash would be 65.
Oh, and then this all the stuff that you guys
Don't need.
don't take.
Correct.
Probably just do store credit.
Okay.
So yeah, the 81 or
Yeah.
oh.
Okay, so that means you would just owe $18.82, okay?
Okay, cool. We are now back in the car, and that didn't go as well as I would have liked. They didn't take a lot of the stuff in my bags. They took around 20 games, and I'm going to show you guys everything that they took and how much the values were. So Test Drive, Jimmy Neutron, both of them for $350. Sims on the 360 for $350. So with the 20 games, I got back around $80. So that's really good. Each game was about $4 a piece. I'm seeing mostly like PS2, PS3, and Xbox 360 games. Need for Speed Underground on PS2 for $5. Yeah, it looks like they didn't take any Xbox One or PS4, PS5 games, which is shocking. They usually always take those, and I was hoping that those would have been a lot more. We had some great, Call of Duty games in here, WWE games, PS4 games. They just didn't take any of these. I'm wondering if it's because one of the Mega Media stores closed down in our city, and so maybe a lot of that stock got moved over here. I know they're like pricing and doing a lot of other trade-in stuff, so maybe they just don't have the manpower or the time to look over all of this. Either way, though, with the $81 we picked up Mortal Kombat Deception for $45. This is actually a really good price for this, and it seems to be complete. Looks to be in great condition. And then we also picked up our first Xenoblade Chronicles game. I've actually never owned any of these games or played them. I've only heard great things from them. Xenoblade 2 being less popular than 3, but still a great one in the series. And these games are kind of hard to come by because I don't really see them out and about. Really happy with these pickups. After the trade-in, we paid $18.82 out of pocket for these two games. Now, the real question is, what am I going to do with the rest of this stuff? I could possibly just keep it all in the collection and end the series, or take it to another game store. And I think I might do that if we have the time. Maybe just take it to a local game store and see how much I can get for these. We just made another sale, and we're going to have a lot of sales to close out this series. I've been lowering the prices each day on my items on eBay, so people are getting some good stuff for a good price. The next item we sold is going to be this calculator, this TI-84 Plus Silver Edition, and I sold this one for $35. We do have another sale, and it's going to be this PlayStation 4 game, Mortal Kombat 11, brand new and sealed. This one sold for $15.50. We've got another sale, and it's going to be a PS3 game right here, Fear 3. This one is complete and sold for $15. We just sold two more items. First one's going to be down here, this pair of Adidas Ultra Boost, and these sold for $29.50. The second item we sold is going to be a game right here. Decided to put this Fear Files game on eBay, and this one sold for $36. And for our last sale, we sold a Blu-ray, this Ernest Scared Stupid, and this one sold for $34. Let's go ahead and get all of this stuff packaged and shipped. After eBay fees and shipping, this is how much we'll get to add back to the game fund. We are now at Universal Collectibles, a local game store in my area, and we're going to trade in the rest of these games. I kind of changed up my plan a little bit. So today is actually June 4th, and it's the release of the Nintendo Switch 2. I'm going to be picking it up later today, and I think I'm going to take some of these games and actually trade it in at GameStop. I think GameStop does trade in very well for a lot of like PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games. So my plan is to trade some of these in to get the Nintendo Switch 2, but we still have a bag full of random items and games. So we're going to see how much they offer here at this location and maybe pick up another Nintendo item. Here at Universal Collectibles, and I already handed the bag to the owner here. Gonna take a peek at the GameCube section, and we got Sonic Riders. If I can find any interesting GameCube games, I may consider grabbing, depending on our trade-in. There was one game down here in the front case that I absolutely had to grab, and it's the Super Mario Strikers for the GameCube. After the store owner went over all of my games, he decided to offer me $35 for everything, and I decided to take that. They had the Super Mario Strikers marked at $60, so if you subtract 35 from that, I'd ended up paying $25 for this copy of the game. We are now out here at the one place that I believe will have or should have this Kirby game on the N64. Vendors here tend to have a ton of games, as you can see right there, especially cartridge games and just all sorts of games for each platform. The only downside of picking up games over here is they tend to have prices marked pretty high, especially on Nintendo items. Got $100 for this Mario Party 5, Dragon Ball Z Budokai. Mario Strikers, I picked it up earlier at a game store, and they got this one marked at $100. So yeah, not the cheapest. After spending some time looking around already, you got some boxed items up here, a ton of NES games, Super Nintendo, and then down here we got the N64 games, and it's looking like right here we got the last copy of this Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards, for $50. This is our final game, and we will be picking it up here to close out the series. Just this Kirby 64 game. Did you go any lower on that by any chance?
Not on N64 games,
okay,
unfortunately.
that's cool. Yeah, I'll grab that. We are now back in the game room, and that wraps up the game hunting for this week. I'd say it was a bit more chaotic, running around at game stores, doing all these trade-ins, but we picked up a ton of incredible games. Let's take some time to go over all we got. Starting off at the PayMore store, they had an insane deal. 6 games for $20. We ended up grabbing 12 games for $40. A lot of these games were PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 games that I just traded in at GameStop to pick up the Nintendo Switch 2. And I'm glad I did that because I got $37 in traded credit to put towards Mario Kart World, the physical copy. And then I ended up just purchasing the Nintendo Switch 2 console only. I'm having a blast with the console so far. A lot of the older games actually run a lot better, and load times are so much quicker. Back to this though, we got like, 5 games to go over only here. The first game is a Street Fighter Cross Tekken mashup game. Plays a lot more like a Street Fighter style game, but does incorporate a lot of Tekken moves and styles. We got Killzone Liberation on the PSP. I thought it was just cool to find this complete PSP game there. We got all these games for $3 a piece. We also decided to grab a Nintendo Switch game, this Barbie Dreamhouse Adventures. No interest in playing this, but it was so cheap, I just had to pick it up. And then we got 2 Super Nintendo games. The first one is this Tiny Toons Buster Busts Loose. This game is based off of the Tiny Toons TV show. You do play as this Buster Bunny character. It's a 2D platformer. And you have this dash meter that you can use to run up walls. That's the main ability of this person. They also have a ton of mini games in here, like a squash game where you're hitting a tennis ball or something at a wall. And then the second Super Nintendo game we got is this Mickey's Ultimate Challenge. It's actually pretty similar to this Bust Loose game. It's a 2D platformer with a ton of mini games as well. Next, we made a visit to a Mega Media Xchange where we did the huge trade-in. For some reason, they just didn't take PS4 or Xbox One games, which kind of sucked because they do offer a good amount of money. But we ended up grabbing 2 great games to add to our collection. First one is the Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I've never played one of these games before. These games are known for their beautiful open worlds and their great live battle combat system. I'm debating on how I want to jump into these games, if I want to start with part 2 or part 1 or even part 3. And I'm hoping they get some upgrades on the Switch too. And then we also found this Mortal Kombat Deception game for $45. A great deal on this one, and it was complete. This game is regarded as one of the best Mortal Kombat games to ever release. It's got a great fighting system where you can move laterally and vertically. Also includes some great modes like the Conquest Adventure, where you can move around in third-person view and travel through each round. Since we couldn't trade in a lot of these games at this game store, we decided to check out Universal Collectibles and finish off with the trades. The owner at this store offered me $35 for the bunch, and we ended up doing that and also picking up Super Mario Strikers. Really happy to finally add this one to my collection. This is a childhood favorite of mine. There's something so fluid in terms of gameplay when it comes to Nintendo GameCube games. This game ran flawlessly. It was a very balanced soccer game. And then last but not least, we finally did it, guys. We found a copy of Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards. We found this one at 7 Mile Fair, which they had just tons of N64 games. And we picked this one up for $50. I don't think that's too bad. One of my favorite Kirby games. It's like a 2.5D side-scroller or platformer. The great feature about this game is, of course, you can inhale the enemies and take their abilities. And you can inhale up to 2 elements and actually combine these elements to give you different abilities. So there are just a huge assortment of elements, and depending on which ones you combine, Kirby actually turns into something different. Can't forget about the fun Mario Party style mini games in here too. There was just so much compacted into these N64 games. And that just about does it, guys. We have reached the finale of this series. I would love to just continue going out each week searching for Nintendo games, but I think it's the right decision to put this to an end and give this series a good conclusion. This doesn't mean that I'm going to stop game hunting though. Hopefully we can start another series soon or come up with a different challenge and ideas. This is only going to be part 1 of this finale. I think I am going to make a second part where I actually go through my whole collection, maybe get some values and totals, and go over some of the higher priced games. Let's add everything to the showcase right now and also mark our last game off of our whiteboard, concluding all of this. Thank you to all you guys who have tuned into this series from start to finish. Really appreciate all the support that I've been getting each and every week. Really provides me motivation to keep on doing this. That's all I pretty much got though. Hope you guys all enjoyed this week's episode, and I'll see you all on the next one.